Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and my lovely NBs. Today we're going to do another open division group stage matchup, this time with Spacenut going up against Crimbo's Revenge. So we'll see how this matchup goes down as we head into game number 1. So, up, down in the eastern position, we have Spacenut going as the Longcokes, while Crimbo going as the Civilized, going up all the way to the north. So looking at the compositions, we are seeing a pretty standardized deck between both of them. Spacenut going into a Soul Squirrel tier 1 with, of course, with the Pigeon to help out with the Badger, as well as 3 tier 2s in the Falcon, Skunk, and Snake. Meanwhile, for Crimbo, we do have the standard Squizzard composition, as well with the Falcon and Snake, with the Boar as well as a Mine. So definitely nothing crazy going on composition wise, but when we look over into the mills, there's quite a lot for both sides. It looks like a lot of mills to go around. 4 easy accessible over on Crimbo's end. Meanwhile, for Spacenut, he does have 4 easy accessible here too. So I can imagine this easily going to at least a 16 farm game in the early goings, as both sides are going to go into the Gentleman's 8. And nothing too crazy to go ahead and over here too. Now, as I stated, this is a little bit of a catch-up here, as the open division has not really been touched that much within Season 2 of the Tooth and Tail Leagues. So it's interesting to see how well this is going to be going. So right now, we do see that Spacenut is going to go and invest into some squirrels in the OV going, as well as Crimbo doing the same thing. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how well these things play out. We do know the official results of the final 8, of the top 8 in the open division. I'm not going to spoil that, obviously. Like, those are going to get cast at some point. Meanwhile, for Spacenut and Crimbo, I'm just excited to see how these two really kind of play out between them. But we'll see how it goes. So right now, going into things, we are seeing that Crimbo is going to invest into a little bit of some minefields. And we are seeing that Crimbo's going to go invest into his second mill compared to Spacenut. Spacenut's probably might be thinking of attacking here. But he does see that the things are there. But he's got to be careful, because even though there was one mine, that does give him enough to retreat here and say, you know what, nah, I'm going to go ahead and build into a second mill as well. Because Spacenut does have quite a number of tier 2 coming out, with 4 skunks coming compared to the 15. But of course, it's all a timing thing. And if Crimbo realizes that he doesn't have nearly enough to kind of counter the mass squirrel that's coming out, because yes, skunks are great against mass squirrel, but like, it all depends on how much is going to be there. But the third skunk's going to come out, so Spacenut is going to be safe for now, guaranteed. So both sides are just going to have to go ahead and continue to invest and build. But as I say that, Crimbo deciding to go ahead and get into that boar, which is a great thing to do. But he's still going to invest into fighting here. Now, I will say that he should definitely go into, if he wants to fight, trying to go out in this angle and force Spacenut to go around this way. Because, like, it's going to be an awkward spot. That awkward little circle there could be used into Crimbo's advantage to get Spacenut to kind of travel into those mines and make it even more difficult. But he's gonna opt against him doing that. Trying to go for that angle, but the skunks wisely going ahead and get into that choke point there. So that's not really a good spot. So Crimbo may just have to just wait until that boar comes out, because the boar is bought for and could come at any moment. Meanwhile, for Spacenut, he's just investing. He's finally getting into that tier 3, but it's a little too late, because of the fact that Spacenut didn't do a lot of scouting for what it looks like. Because, like, if we look over to the point of view of him, like, there's so much he has not looked at all. Well, he is finally going to be scouting here, but he's going to be dead before even realizing that that boar's coming out at any moment. So it's not looking good. Not looking good right now for Spacenut. Not having the opportunity to go ahead and scout as much as he wanted to, especially now that Crimbo is in a very hefty lead so far when it comes to the pick count. We are seeing that the Badger is finally built. We are seeing that Spacenut does have a utilize the pocket, but now that the boar is out, we can see that that boar doing a little bit of poking, and now the fight is going to commence. He's gonna have to be careful, try not to lose that boar too much early. He is gonna take out that 1 mil here, and he is gonna wisely retreat because there's not gonna be a lot on their end. But at the same time, there's only skunks that are on Spacenut's end, so we could technically attack if he wanted to. But he's gonna go ahead and say, "Nah, I'm not gonna worry about that much. I'm gonna give my boy a bath. I am not gonna invest." Because he's leaving his... I'm not really sure about this. Having the board go out there with no backup. That's... Ooh, that could have been costly for Crimbo if he allowed himself to not get that. The Badger's now finally out. So this pretty much evens things up for Spacenut quite a bit here. So Spacenut really kind of avoiding disaster in this instance. But that's why I'm like a little bit surprised that Crimbo did not go ahead and invest into going along this corner so that Spacenut can get a little bit of mind damage to help make this matchup a little bit easier. But now we're seeing the lizards coming into play. We are now seeing that Crimbo's finally gonna go with it. No, well, as I was gonna say he was, but never mind on that on that instance. So right now, both sides are just kind of chilling out for a little bit. Spacenut's going to go ahead and fully invest into the other one. We are seeing that the forward angle, because right now I would say that if Spacenut goes this direction, I think Crimbo's going to have the distinct advantage. But right now, Crimbo is looking to possibly go ahead and get to this attack. He does have the superior army right now. In all honesty, even though the snakes are scary, the Badger is there, he has the superior numbers by a long shot. Because, like, look at this army graph. That's a lot of army. So he can just come in and take this out very easily. So I'm not sure why Crimbo is very hesitant at the moment. But we are finally seeing Crimbo wanting to go ahead and go for this attack, trying to take out at least a Warren. And now we're seeing Spacenut trying to fully invest in this, and this is a great opportunity for Crimbo to go ahead and go after this. And he's going to do just that, and that's probably going to do it, as Spacenut not having the superior army whatsoever. The board's going to go down, but everything else is out. We have a lot of snakes that are going to go ahead and start attacking things out. And that's going to do it there, as Crimbo is looking to go ahead and take game number 1 here. First mill's gonna get taken out, and that's gonna do it here, as Crimbo is gonna go ahead and take game number 1. Let's go ahead and dive into game number 2. So, Spacenut out on the west as the Longcoats, while Crimbo over to the northeast as the Civilized. Looking over at the map, not a lot to go around. The map is huge, by the way. A lot of dead space over here on the right side, but pretty much even Steven for the most part. You can easily see this to be... Actually, this is like a wall here, essentially, with the fact that there's no... Well, I was going to say there was no easy access, but there's a bridge here. Going over for Spacenut. Meanwhile, for Crimbo, he does have access over here to this, so we could see this being like a... well, I was going to say 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 in a way, but it's a very awkward one when it comes to mills. Going into the comps, Spacenut is going to go for a Boar Badger composition with the Soul Squirrel as well with the Pigeon and with the Falcon Skunk. Meanwhile, for Crimbo, we are seeing that we have lizards that are getting brought out right now, along with the squirrels, as well as the ferret, falcon, boar, and the mine. So no changes over on Crimbo's side when it comes to the composition. Now we are seeing that Spacenut is going to go ahead and get into the second one, which is it's honestly the safest mill of this entire map in my opinion, because it is like, there's no real way for Crimbo to get this unless he invests some falcons to go ahead and fly over and take it out that way. But even then, it's all about the positioning of the falcons too, which I would imagine would have to be positioned right here in order for that attack to work. But here we are seeing that Spacenut trying to be cheeky here, and that's going to get denied very quickly. So a very easy 60 food to take out. Meanwhile, for Spacenut, he may just go ahead and invest into a campfire, most likely. Probably going to go look into the long game. But now we are seeing that the lizards could come into play here. This could be lizard favored, as right now we are seeing the quick buy over to Crimbo, but actually he's going to go ahead and sell it. So right now I'm curious to see how well this is going to play out, as Spacenut is going to go into the mass tier 2. Another boar's coming out for Crimbo. So he might just like be, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try and be aggressive, trying to get this boar to come out as quickly as possible. We are seeing that the second mill on Crimbo's end is going to come into play. I don't think he really cares that much. I think Spacenut should know that he should go back because of the fact that those lizards are going to be going to make a pretty big impact. But instead, Crimbo goes back, buys a couple of farms, possibly going to look into getting a third one, maybe. He's trying to see if he's going to find some other way around it, but like there's like nothing here for him to really kind of utilize, because I'm sure he saw this second base being used. There really is no backdoor or anything like that in that whatsoever. So I think Crimbo's chances of him possibly going ahead to go for a sneak attack has kind of came and went, because of the fact that the skunks they came out, the falcons are there, the boar's gonna come out for Spacenut, but it's kind of a little bit late here, with the fact that the board for Crimbo is already out and about and ready to rock and roll in about maybe 15 seconds. So right now, Spacenut is not at the best spot at the moment. I mean, yes, he has quite a good number of skunks to counter the lizards, the mass lizards that are going to come his way, but again, that boar is basically going to be out, ready to go. A lot of floating between both sides, by the way. Like, both are around 300 food at this point. But it looks like Crimbo is going to go ahead and get ready into investing into more tier 2. A lot more falcons are going to come in. Got some ferrets as well to possibly go ahead and focus on some warrens if he needs to. But the lizards going to go ahead and go after this campfire just so he doesn't deal with any kind of pesky cabin shots. And now the mine's starting to come in once again. So Crimbo doing a really good job spacing himself out and getting into more of an advantageous position, as Spacenut is investing into the Badger as well, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough time for him to go for this. Like, Crimbo could easily come in there and swing for the win if he wanted to, because, well, I would say that, but then again, we do see a lot of skunks coming his end, but Crimbo has quite a lot of falcons to really kind of help out, and you can easily see this as a base. And right now, the ferret is not going to do anything here. He was trying to be sneaky with it, but there's just nothing he could really do here, especially with the 5 minute less. So I would just go ahead and invest into the fight. Just go ahead and go in there for the swing. But here we are seeing the falcons going to be invested instead. So very wise decision for Spacenut to try and counter the ferrets. But now that he sees that the that the battle is there, but he does go down. That gives an opportunity for Crimbo to possibly go for an attack. And all those Falcons are going to go down, and that's going to put Crimbo in a good... Oh, no, why? Crimbo, no, don't leave. You have it, you have it, you have it, you have it. You definitely have it with the Falcons going down there. That was a prime opportunity to go after Spacenut right then and there and win. Like, I think that's the one thing we have to go when it comes to the open division and newer players coming in, is that, like, there is no aggressiveness, a lot of hesitancy going in. But now Spacenut's looking to possibly do some battle here. But right now there's a lot of mines, and that's going to come into the advantage of Crimbo, as even though the mill's going to go down, that's currently for taking purposes. And now the Badger, the Badger's going to go down, but now the Boar's about to head out too. And that's going to be it for Spacenut's entire composition. And now all that's left, I was going to say, if it's the Boar and the Falcons, but now it's just the Falcons, but that's going to be more than enough to go ahead and clean things up. As right now, Crimbo is going to go ahead and take out the rest of this army, and this victory is going to go over to Crimbo as he goes ahead and takes on game number 2. So really good matchup there over there to Crimbo. So I'm going to go ahead and speed things up here a little bit just so we can go ahead and get this game over with, so there's just not enough time. So yeah, GG's going over to Crimbo, taking game number 2 with the opportunity to sweep. As we look at the army graph, obviously Crimbo had the lead just pretty much outright for majority of the game. So really good stuff. So can Crimbo take this sweep, or will Spacenut still have some fight in him to take it to 4 games? Let's go ahead and dive into game number 3. I don't know why this looks similar. Anyways, so over out in the east side, we have Spacenut rocking the long coats, while over out in the west, we do have Crimbo Revenge rocking the civilized. So going into both of these compositions, looks like Spacenut is going to go for a more ditching up quite a bit. We are seeing mass tier 1 comp with the boar, with the squirrel, the lizard, and the mole, as well as the falcon skunk that we usually come to see. Meanwhile, Crimbo going for a more interesting composition here, as we do see the soul squirrel with the falcon and the snake, as well as the boar fox coming into play, with the wire coming out as well. Looking at the map, we are seeing that Crimbo has a more favorable map placement here, with a lot of mills in his surrounding area. Even though all of them are on the lower ground, it doesn't really matter too much. While this 4th one is up on the higher ground, might be a little bit more difficult to go up against. Meanwhile, Spacenut not in the position he would want, with 1 mill right here, 1 mill right here, that are accessible, but there's one in the far that's just like kind of more of a ninja pocket in a way, possibly go for some quick sneak attacks or something like that. In this case, I mean, it's primed to go for a good attack here, but it's gonna be a lot more difficult, especially it'll only be used for like the late game here to do a little bit of ambushing, but it's gonna take a bit. Meanwhile, for Spacenut, he's going to go ahead and invest in quite a lot of lizards in the early going. I mean, I will say that this is somewhat of a lizardy map here. There's not a lot of road, but it's definitely a lot of spacing. Ooh, we are seeing that the Crimbo is aware of the lizard, so he wisely sells here, and he does have the squirrels on the ready here. And yeah, the squirrels are going to take advantage of a battle against the lizards very easily. So Spacenut goes ahead and sells, keeps the 60 food, and I don't think he does lose another lizard, unfortunately. But here we are seeing that Spacenut's just going to go ahead and say bump this, and Possibly he's going to go ahead and dive into the tier 2, but everything's getting bought right now when it comes to it. He is going to go ahead and invest in a second mill instead. So right now, Crimbo does have the tempo lead quite a bit and has the superior army number, especially with the fact that if you want to have an even count of something, I would rather have an even count of squirrels compared to the even count of lizards. Especially now that Crimbo has a full 18 on the way and we're just now seeing the investment of the skunk. Crimbo can go in now if he wants to, but he has been very hesitant. He's just doing a little bit of scouting, see what else is out there, but the skunk's gonna come out at this point, in this instance. So he's probably just gonna go ahead and call his boys back. Yep, he does. Or is he deciding to go ahead and invest and try and go for a fight here? I wouldn't advise against it. We are seeing that a board did came out earlier and could be coming out any moment now. He's going to be floating a little bit. So he's just probably going to wait for that tier 3. He's actually going to put down the fox as well. So this is going to be one of those big go home type of instances, as Crimbo is going to go ahead and invest into some wire just in case he is going to get attacked here, because right now, Spacenut is going to have the number of tier 2 to counter the masked squirrel at this juncture. But now that the fox has been invested, the boar has been paid off, it seems like that Crimbo does have a very favorable army at this point. I mean, it doesn't look like it right now, but once that boar comes out, that's going to change. And right now, Crimbo does have the economy, and he's continuing to be greedy here as he does put down even more farms, but it looks like Spacenut is wanting to go ahead and commit to this. He does have the falcons. He does have some skunks to go ahead and counter the mass tier 1 that is out there, but Crimbo does have 2 tier 3s on its way. The boar is out. The falcon's going to be out pretty soon, and now the fight's going to be happening right here. And you got some quick pokes, but we do see a quick recall over on Crimbo's side. Wanted to wait until the boar is out. And of course, the boar, speaking of boars, Spacenut's a supply block, and he's not really selling anything. He's just going to go ahead and waste a little bit of time. He finally sells, but that's just going to be more time advantage going over to Crimbo, as Crimbo does have the fox out and is going to have a couple of tier 2s on the way as well. So once again, the army is going to go over to Crimbo's end as well. So Crimbo doing a really good job building the army. He just needs to commit and actually go into the fight and swing, because he has the superior composition 100%. Because right now, Crimbo is going to go ahead and bring the fox in. He's going to go ahead and start some trouble. Go ahead and try and, be a little bit of a gremlin, taking out a few of the lizards, but now the lizards are going to try and come over. And right now, that mill's not going to be going down, but I think this is Crimbo's opportunity to go ahead and attack. But no, he's just going to go ahead and continue defending here. And, I can understand wanting to go ahead and try and stay ahead of the economy lead at this point, but, you already have 2 mills invested, a third one, you have the superior army. You could just go ahead and just be a gremlin as much as you want. I'm not really too sure as to what Crimbo would like to do here in this instance. But right now, Crimbo is pulling back. He really wants to get some investment in there, but he's only getting some of these baby attacks. And there's not really much he can really do. He might as well just go ahead and just go all in. There's no need to be hesitant about this, because, like I said, Crimbo has so much more army. Spacenut is investing too much into skunks. I don't know why he's got so many skunks coming in compared to the falcons. So I just think it is time for Crimbo to go ahead and just take this in and win this, because he's got the number. But again, when it comes to games like this, it's kind of more so the hesitancy that can really bite you in the butt, because you can easily see Spacenut probably invest into building more army, building more Falcons, especially. Because, like, not a lot's being invested here, and now the boar is going to come out, another boar is going to come out for Spacenut, and I really just can't imagine. I don't know why he's just trying to wait for Spacenut to come and attack when he has the army. He definitely does. Especially when we go look into the income as well, with the 4 farms compared to the 3, and just like, look at this, man. The army value is insane. Well, what you can probably count that when it comes to the amount of investment to the thing. Did he lose his fox? He did lose his fox. Oops. Like, this is why you don't need to worry about poking as much, because of the fact that the fox isn't necessary. But now we have a second boar out for Spacenut, and I think Spacenut could just go in and try and mow this down if he wants to. He's got it. But the Falcons could possibly come into play as well, because of the fact that there's nothing but skunks here. Skunks will be able to do nothing, but that's a lot of freaking lizards, dude. It's a lot of lizards to be kind of playing around with, and you don't really want to deal with that. So right now, I'm not really sure what Crimbo's really waiting on necessarily. I know he's got the fox coming out, but like, there really is no way for him to really kind of poke the way that he wants to, because that's all about trying to micro, and that's just gonna be something to really kind of look out for. Because as soon as he starts shooting, the freaking lizards are gonna come out of nowhere and try to play that. So, oh my goodness, it's just like 10 minutes of just chilling. So I guess we'll just probably look into things right here. So again, as we wait for these guys to go ahead and set their armies up, try and finish this up as quickly as possible. I will say that as exciting as the open division can be, oh, okay, as I was trying to say, we are finally getting a battle coming in. And right now, the Falcon numbers are seeming to be a little bit too much, as both boards are down. Crimbo has the better army. He does have quite a good number of Falcons. The Fox is still alive. As I say that, the Fox dies. But the Falcons can go ahead and clean this up very easily. And now, there is one Falcon there that could possibly stop this battle, and it is going to do just that. But there is still quite a good number of Falcons on Crimbo's end. But right now, he's going to looking to sell. He's looking to sell all of his Falcons, Warren, excuse me, just so he can build off more. And honestly, this is definitely something. So right now, Spacenut and Crimbo are looking to possibly go ahead and try and wrap this up. Crimbo has a lot of things invested right now, because like, looking at the army value, we do see Crimbo just still have quite the amount of army to be going down here, but the income is also on Crimbo's side as well. So it's kind of hard to see Crimbo lose this, especially with the fact that he's got basically everything on lock here. He has 5 mills on his end compared to the 4 that Spacenut has. So I believe every single mill has been taken at this point. So with how well guarded this is, except for this opening right here. Oh, this is going to be huge. That's going to be a lot of farms lost. And that mill's going to go down, but we're going to see another massive fight here. We are seeing another boar coming out over here on Spacenut's end, and this time the Crimbo has the army to go ahead and just wrap this one up. That is going to be it here, as Crimbo does get the sweep. What a great matchup there for Crimbo. Crimbo could have ended this a lot earlier, I think, in all honesty, but You know, Spacenut is not going to go down without a fight. He doesn't want to give up. After all, this is a serious matchup. And with that, Crimbo is just going to go ahead and finish things up. So, really, really good match here for Crimbo as he goes ahead and try and clean things up here for the Lizards. And once again, not much can really be defended here as... What a good way to end this. What a good way to end this is we are seeing that the bait from the Fox is gonna go ahead and wrap things up. So again, good matchup here over here for Crimbo as he does take the sweep 3-0. GG's all around.